Greetings, everyone. My name is Caleb Steindale, and welcome to the first ever Nittany Watch Sports show. Since the creation of Nittany Watch, sports has always been its own segment at the end of every show. However, I'm thrilled to announce that this semester we are creating a show dedicated solely to sports here at Penn State Harrisburg, main campus, and across the country. As the Nittany Watch Sports Director, I can't wait to dive into this new era of the show, and as always, all statistics are courtesy of Penn State Harrisburg Athletics. Let's get started. We begin with soccer, a sport that kicked off the fall season and has been underway since September 1st. The men's soccer team has started off in the middle of the pack, dribbling their way to a 2-3-2 record. The men's soccer team is looking to reclaim the United East Championship title after winning it each of the past 2 years and thus making the NCAA Division III tournament. Wins this season have come against Wilkes and New York University, draws came against Merchant Marine and Cairn, and losses came at the hands of Alvernia, Lebanon Valley, and Franklin and Marshall. Freshman goalkeeper Shayon Kashi leads the Lions in saves and save percentage. He's only been scored on 4 times all season, which is also best on the team. Junior forward Daniel Fambu leads the team with 5 points and is tied for first in both goals and shots. Fambu needs just 4 points to move into 3rd place all-time in program history. While a sub-500 record isn't ideal, the season is still young, and the team has yet to play a conference opponent. Conference matchups is what really matters when it comes to securing a trip to the postseason, and the Penn State Harrisburg men's soccer team has not lost to a conference opponent since 2019. They look to continue that streak in 2023 when they begin facing conference opponents later this month. 4 of the team's next 5 games are at home, and their first conference matchup is home against Gallaudet on Saturday, September 23rd. Women's soccer also began at the beginning of September at the Roanoke Invitational in Virginia. The women's soccer team has started off with a 2-3-1 record as they look to return to the United East Championship game for the 3rd straight year. Wins have come against Roanoke and Bryn Mawr. Losses have come at the hands of Lynchburg, TCNJ, and Shenandoah, with a draw against Goucher. Sophomore goalkeeper Sydney Mulca leads the Lady Lions in saves with 17, while sophomore Catherine Eimer leads the team in save percentage. She's only allowed 1 goal all season. Sophomore forward Serenity Hill leads the squad with 2 goals, and senior defender Sydney Hemler leads the team with 2 assists. Like the men's team, the Lady Lions have not faced a conference opponent yet. They'll do so for the first time on September 23, when they also face Gallaudet. Another sport that has been busy this fall is volleyball. This week I had the chance to see some matches and chat with some of the team captains and take a deep dive into the Lady Lions season. Everyone knows about basketball, soccer, baseball, and softball at Penn State Harrisburg, but volleyball doesn't get nearly as much attention. It's not for lack of success, however, as the Lady Lions have put together an impressive run over the past few years that they hope to continue in 2023. The team has plenty of fresh faces, but according to the captains, everyone is just as dedicated as ever.
I think the season has definitely been going really, really well. We have 5 freshmen that came in really hot this season, along with some returners who are ready to just put in the work, literally starting back into the spring. So I think this season, it's just been going full force. Everyone's really excited.
The freshmen came in hot and heavy. They were ready to go all gas, no brakes. That's a saying on our team, is to go all gas, no brakes, and they were ready.
The season is still young, but it's already been up and down for the Harrisburg volleyball squad. They started off hot with a 3-0 record, knocking off Wilson, Goucher, and Notre Dame, Maryland by a combined score of 9-1. However, they followed those victories up with 3 straight losses to Misericordia, York, and Washington College. They then won back-to-back matches at home before dropping 2 on the road in a tri-match, which is a competition in which 3 teams all play against each other. According to the senior captains, each win and loss is beneficial because every win showcases their potential, while losses exhibit room for growth.
I would definitely say the first couple of games helped us get acclimated to each other because the competition really wasn't that bad just yet. So we were able to see what we can do. But the tri-matches and some of the other teams, they really challenged us.
I know definitely after our first 3 drops, we definitely came together as a team and was like, hey, what do we need to work on? It's still the beginning of the season. We're still trying to gel and everything like that. And I think these last 2 games, we definitely were able to solidify working together as a team, gelling, figuring out, how to play with different players and stuff like that. I think we've just worked on our team chemistry a lot.
Despite the individual accolades, the team knows that isn't the most important thing. The captains are encouraging the squad to have fun and support each other on and off the court as they attempt to make the United East Championship once again.
I think being a senior, I think the best advice that I can give is just live in the present. I think it's so easy to get caught up in the competition. Well, of course we want to win, but I'm here to have fun, and I think of course we're having fun when we're winning, but I want to be able to enjoy the little moments, enjoy it. Like we have this saying, enjoy the suck on the team. So even the games that we lose and stuff like that, I want to be able to enjoy every moment.
Really making sure that every single person on the team, whether they're junior, sophomore, freshman, we're all connected, we're all heard, and each and every person is getting the most out of games, practices, recovery, connecting with one another. So making us feel like a family. We have to have that connection to care for each other outside of volleyball so we can connect and be there for each other on that court. Then as soon as we got that chemistry, it's just lights out game volleyball, it's crazy. So my word of advice is for everybody to just be there for each other, support each other, and give constructive criticism when needed, because at the end of the day, we're here to help each other win, have fun, and be better players.
The season is new, but the goal remains the same for the volleyball team as they look to return to the United East Championship. They'll wrap up the month of September with a string of non-conference opponents before taking on 6 conference opponents in the months of October and November. They'll defend home court right here at the Capital Union Building against Marywood on September 21st. For Penn State Harrisburg Nittany Watch, I'm Caleb Steindl. The Lady Lions have 5 more matches in September, and after that, they'll take on their first conference opponent on October 4th when they travel to Lancaster Bible College. Good luck to the volleyball team as they look to secure a postseason berth in 2023. Soccer and volleyball aren't the only sports happening this fall. The men's and women's cross-country squads have also had 2 competitions so far this season. The Dutchman Invitational at Lebanon Valley College kicked off the year, and the United East Championships preview at Cairn University happened on September 16th. John Carnessi has been the top performer for the men so far. He finished 13th out of 83 runners at the Championships preview in the 8K. At the same competition, Sarah Gibbons led the way for the women, finishing 9th out of 65 runners in the 6K. Both squads will compete next in the Bud Smitley Invitational on Saturday, September 23rd, a competition that takes place right here at Penn State Harrisburg. The men's and women's tennis teams had their first matches on Saturday, September 16th against Messiah University. The men's team got the victory 5-4, while the women's team fell just short by the same score. The schedule is the same for both the men's and women's squads. 4 straight home matches to wrap up September, followed by 2 away in October. Finally, men's golf opened up their season on September 12th at the Elizabethtown College Invitational. The golf squad will have 3 more invitationals this year on September 24th, October 12th, and October 23rd. When we come back, we'll be joined by Penn State Harrisburg's own Tom Klemick of Sports Information to talk about sports on campus. Stay tuned for Nittany Watch's first ever in-studio sports interview.
Hey, Sanjay.
Hey, Rosie. Good to see you. What's going on?
So I'm going to hit you up with some medical advice, if that's okay that I use you a little bit here.
Yeah, of course. Use me.
Okay, say someone already had COVID, right?
That person would still need to get the vaccine.
Okay, Sanjay, you're really scary right now. You're like a mind reader, but yeah, that was my question.
Even if you've already had COVID, you still need to get vaccinated. And Rosie, keep wearing a mask.
Always. Thanks, Sanjay. You're the best.
Welcome back to the Nittany Watch Sports Show. I'm so excited to be joined in studio by Penn State's very own Tom Klemick, the Director of Sports Information here at Penn State Harrisburg. Now, you may have seen him around campus at various sporting events as he watches each and every play, taking notes and recording stats. He is a legend on campus. Tom, thank you for joining me today.
Happy to be here. Appreciate that very nice introduction.
Absolutely. Now, Tom, you are, I would say a lot of people see you around campus doing a lot of things at various sporting events, but I don't think many people know exactly what you do. So take me through, what does a day in the life look like for you, and what do you do as the Sports Information Director?
Sure, I appreciate that. Title Sports Information Director, kind of a fancy way of saying that I am in charge of running the athletic website for Penn State Harrisburg. On game days, as you said, I'm usually at events, either keeping track of statistics, making sure our live stream is working, taking photos and video. On a day when we're not having actual athletic events, usually in the office or working from home, which is fantastic because we're here on a lot of weekends doing things like social media management, basically anything that our marketing department does here at Penn State Harrisburg for the academic side is what myself and my team are in charge of doing for our athletic programs, promoting all of our student athletes, our coaches, and all 17 of our intercollegiate varsity athletic programs.
That's really cool. And you mentioned student athletes. You've gotten a chance to work with a lot of student athletes. Many of them, I would say, a lot of viewers probably know. What are some notable athletes that you've gotten a chance to work with?
Yeah, I've been lucky over these past 5 years now to work with some of the best athletes, but also some of these student athletes who have been such a tremendous help for the sports information department. If you've seen me around campus, you've probably seen Candace Butler with me, a former women's basketball player who just graduated. She's an absolute stud, is basically an assistant sports information director. I've also gotten the chance to work with Kylie Altland from the women's soccer team, Oscar Cartagena, who now works in our own marketing department. He was actually my first intern, and way back in the day, a 1,000-point scorer for the men's basketball team, Khalil Williams. So I've been lucky to have a really good group who have been tight-knit and really help us to try to take our department to a level, as you kind of said, being able to cover all 17 of our varsity programs.
Yeah, now, I don't want to make you choose a favorite, but having gotten a chance to watch all these athletes, do you have one or two that come to mind in terms of athletes that you specifically enjoy watching?
Well, I've been lucky. Like I said, I started in 2018. I got here right at a time when Cameron Yan was a track and field. He was a thrower, discus thrower. And in the spring of 2019, he won our first ever national championship, and I got to be there in Ohio when he did it. That was a blast. If you guys are familiar with the name Brett Williams, if you follow the baseball team, they're having tremendous success right now. He's graduated for a couple of years, but this is not hyperbole, one of the greatest Division III baseball players to ever play. He ranks top 5 in hits, home runs, RBIs, runs scored, total bases. Just truly, you want to talk about a legend. Yeah. One of the all-time greats. And then, as I said, my personal affinity for a lot of the student athletes who I've had a chance to work with. Candace is at the top of that list. She ranks top 30 all-time in three-pointers made. She's a NCAA Woman of the Year nominee. So yeah, I've been fortunate to be around a lot of talented athletes, and a lot of them who have also been able to cultivate a relationship with me, and that's probably the coolest part of what I get to do.
That's awesome. You talked about a few of the sports already, but it's fall. Talk to me a little bit about, just give me a rundown on what are the sports that are happening at Penn State Harrisburg this fall?
Yeah, right now, as I think you kind of mentioned in one of your segments, men's and women's soccer, women's volleyball, men's and women's tennis just started up. Also men's and women's cross country, and our men's golf team. But we're in the early stages here where non-conference schedule for many of our teams, including men's and women's soccer, has been very competitive. They pride themselves in putting together a schedule that will help them in terms of, hey, as you said, if we win the conference and get in the NCAA tournament, people are going to look at those schedules and say they have tested themselves in the non-conference. Men's soccer played the number 9 team in the country in Franklin and Marshall the other day. Women's soccer is playing a bunch of regionally ranked teams, and that's why, if you saw last week, they were regionally ranked to start the season. They're going to be regionally ranked again this week, and I think our coaches, our athletes have taken pride in going out there, testing themselves early, so come conference play, they'll be ready to go at it and really compete.
Now, all those sports taken together, keeping all that in mind, again, I'm going to ask you to pick a favorite. What's your personal favorite sport you get a chance to watch here at Penn State Harrisburg? My
personal favorite, it's a spring sport. I'm a big baseball guy. I played in 2009. I played here for a year. I also, if anyone knows head coach Ryan Bound, I helped as an assistant coach for him when he started way back in 2013 for 2 years. But I've always been a big baseball guy, big diehard Phillies guy. So that is one of my favorite teams to watch here. Honestly, though, I'm very fortunate because I get to be at just about every athletic event, and every single one of them, I've learned to appreciate sports that maybe when I was younger didn't really know how the scoring in tennis worked, never really got to sit down and watch a volleyball match. I'll tell you what though, once you get there and you see our athletes doing it and you see our coaches putting in the time and the effort, you're hooked and you just want to keep going back. So yeah, I really enjoy all of them, but yeah, if I got to pick one, I'll take a nice warm day in the spring, sure, get outside and work on my tan while I'm watching some baseball.
There you go. Now, as a stats guy, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask, do you have any particularly cool or interesting stat that you can give us about sports on campus?
I would say for anyone, if you ever, you're playing a game or something like that, you need a good question or a good answer. Back in 2011, a softball player named Kara Boyd, she was the conference player of the year that year. She actually set the NCAA record for consecutive at-bats by getting a hit, meaning in 17 straight at-bats, she got a hit. Didn't get walked, didn't get hit by a pitch, obviously didn't get out, but to get on base 17 times straight by getting a hit, that's a record that now, what are we going on, 13 years has stood. and I'd be stunned if anyone breaks that anytime soon. So yeah, if you need a little tidbit for anybody, throw that one out there sometime.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Now, as we wrap things up here, I want to give you a chance to just sort of speak in general to the collective student body, to faculty, to everyone on campus. Why should people go out and support Penn State Harrisburg sports? Why should people go out and catch a sporting event, whether it's a game or a match or whatever? Give your pitch. Why should people do that?
Well, I would say our athletics at Penn State Harrisburg are kind of a hidden gem here. We have almost 300 student athletes. And as I said, I've been lucky to see them not only in their field of play, I've been able to see them behind the scenes. I've been able to see them, in this very room doing things, helping out around campus, academically, community service. It's an incredible group. I'd say our student athletes, our coaches as well, are a vital part of our campus. But I would also say too, if you can get out to an athletic contest, whatever that is, if you're at the Capitol Union building to see basketball or volleyball, if you get outside to some of our fields, I feel like you might catch that fever, because so many of these teams compete not just in a conference level at a high level, but they do that on the national stage. We have teams that are nationally ranked throughout the years. We have All-Americans and all-region players walking around campus among us. And I think we're at a point where we're starting to get that word out a little bit more. But if for some reason you're still not familiar with Penn State Harrisburg athletics, I'd say come on out to a game, catch some of the action, some of your fellow peers, some of the student athletes, and I think you're going to enjoy yourself, and you'll probably be drawn to come back again and again. I would say, as part of an overall experience here at Penn State Harrisburg, we've only had sports 4 years here back again since 2005. We're going on, it's crazy to think, we're going on 2 decades. But that culture is starting to build, and very, very happy to see that athletics is becoming a really ingrained part of the Penn State Harrisburg experience.
Yeah, that's fantastic. You heard the man. Come out and see a game. You can keep up with all of the stats and all of the schedules on the Penn State Harrisburg Athletics website all season long. Tom, thanks so much for talking with me today. Really appreciate it. When we come back, we'll continue with intramural sports and some professional sports. This is the Nittany Watch Sports Show.
So good to see you guys.
So, what's up? Oh, we finally bought a place.
Holy cow.
You seriously have enough saved to do that?
We've been putting a little aside each month.
Jeez, at the end of the month, we have nothing left to save.
Yeah, I have no idea where it goes.
Well, you're spending a lot on...
Was it good?
Oh, God.
Oh, how is my account overdrawn?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Intercollegiate sports aren't the only athletic events going on this semester. Intramural sports are also back in action with their first sport of the year, Ultimate Frisbee. Our intramural sports reporter Mitchell Carson is back and has the recap for their season.
Penn State's intramural sports kicked off with Ultimate Frisbee. The season started with 5 teams. The first match was the Dirty Ducks versus the Stiff Sox. The Stiff Sox rose above the Dirty Ducks, ending the match 8-1. Then the Violent Guppies won over the Free Agents 11-7. For the second match, the Stiff Sox defeated Violent Guppies 5-3. For the Dirty Ducks' return, the Stiff Sox secured the win again 12-2. The Free Agents returned and received a comeback, beating Whiskey Disc 7-5. For the semifinals match, the Free Agents took the win from Dirty Ducks 10-0. Whiskey Disc also secured the win from Violent Guppies 6-4. It all came down to the championship match. The Free Agents beat Violent Guppies 4-3. The Stiff Sox defeated Whiskey Disc 6-5. The final match came down to the Free Agents versus the Stiff Sox. The Free Agents secured the win 7-4, making them the champions of the intramural Ultimate Frisbee season.
It was awesome to win a championship. It's been a hard time working. We didn't really get any practice in, but we got a team out, and I recommend everyone bring a team out, play. It's really an awesome experience to win.
Mitchell Carson, Penn State Harrisburg, Student Media.
Thank you, Mitchell, and congratulations to the Free Agents team on winning the intramural Ultimate Frisbee season. The other intramural sports for the fall are soccer, flag football, bowling, and dodgeball. We wish intramurals the best of luck in their games for this year.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Penn State Harrisburg Nittany Watch Sports Report. Now, we're going to move on from the Penn State Harrisburg campus sports to now professional sports. And the postseason is quickly approaching in Major League Baseball. Now, I myself am woefully ignorant in the area of MLB, but today I am joined by two guys that know their stuff. So today I'm joined by Nittany Watch Sports reporter Dylan Hassinger and guest Odlani Lasanta to hear their thoughts on the MLB season. So, welcome to the show, gentlemen. First question that I have for you is sort of just a general overview of the season. We already have several teams that have eclipsed 90 wins. So the Orioles, Rays, Braves, and Dodgers all have over 90 wins. First things first, who is the best team in Major League Baseball? Dylan, we're going to start with you.
Caleb, I'm going to have to say you can't always base how well you do in wins, but I'm going to say the best team has got to be the Atlanta Braves. You know, with their craft, their technique, their elite players, they are just coming together and doing it one by one, winning ball games and getting the outs, hitting the ball, and they're just doing really well. So I'm going to have to say the Atlanta Braves with their craft overall.
Odlani, do you agree?
Absolutely, I agree. I believe the Atlanta Braves, they have a solid team from top to bottom. They have a lot of players who have been hitting bombs left and right. There have already been, I believe, 5 players at this point who have hit over 30 home runs. And, you know, they have a lot of great talent. And I can agree with Dylan that, yeah, the Atlanta Braves are the favorite to win. And they are definitely the best team in baseball this season.
All right, so we've had a lot of surprises this year. I mean, some of them that come to mind, specifically the Yankees and Cardinals, have been pretty bad. Not a lot of people saw that coming at the beginning of the year. What has surprised you guys the most about this MLB season? Odlani, we'll start with you this time.
Well, I think the Cincinnati Reds have definitely surprised me as a baseball team. They started off, you know, not the best team in the league, but when they called up rookie Elly De La Cruz from the minors, you know, things started looking up for them. Elly De La Cruz, you know, great rookie, has a lot of pop, you know, speedy guy, runs the bases really fast. He set record after record in his first couple of games with the Reds, and since then, things have been looking up for the Cincinnati Reds, and they look to make their way over to the playoffs and making their push for the first time in so long. So, yeah, I believe the Reds are doing well this year ever since calling up Elly De La Cruz.
Dylan, are the Reds the biggest shock to you?
Somewhat, but I'm going to have to go with the Baltimore Orioles, especially with them just making the playoffs. The Baltimore Orioles have 94 wins. No one has expected the Orioles to do this well. I mean, they're making the playoffs for the first time since 2016. They're the underdogs. I think they're going to go far. Obviously, they clinched on Sunday with their win over the Rays. I just can't believe it. Obviously, Adley Rutschman, I think, is being the sole survivor. He's leading the team, being the catcher. Orioles, they're just my biggest surprise so far.
Now, you mentioned the postseason, so we're going to move on and talk about that really quickly. The postseason arrives on October 3rd, it's just a couple of weeks away. The Braves have clinched the NL East, the Dodgers have clinched the NL West, and like you mentioned, the Orioles and the Rays both have clinched at least wild card berths. So 12 teams make the playoffs, which means there are 8 spots left. Which team that maybe hasn't clinched yet are you guys confident will make the postseason? Dylan, we'll start with you.
You know, I talked with Odlani the other day about this, but Phillies, I think, even though they've been struggling a little bit and struggling here and there, I think they're going to come together. You know, they're trying to progress well in the last 2 weeks. So Philly, although they were in the World Series last year, I think they're hungry for some more action in the 2023 postseason.
Yeah, Odlani?
Yeah, I agree with Dylan. Again, the conversation we had, the Phillies are definitely going to make it. Yes, like Dylan said, we've been struggling. The Phillies have been struggling a little bit in the beginning of the season, but they have progressed. You know, their players have been going. The team has been really hot as of recently. I mean, you have Trey Turner coming in from a huge slump in the beginning of the season since getting traded from the Dodgers. Since then, he's been really healthy, hitting lots of home runs, getting the ball in play. And other than that, I mean, there are other great players as well. I mean, Bryce Harper coming back from Tommy John surgery. I mean, this lineup is stacked, and I do believe they'll come back in the playoffs and are hungry to make a comeback during the postseason, and hopefully, not very likely, but hopefully try their best at another World Series championship run.
All right, let's get into some predictions here for MVP. Who is your pick for the most valuable player this year? We'll start with you, Odlani.
Well, for the American League, it's pretty obvious at this point, Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani has had a historic season thus far. He's been batting well. He's been pitching well. The modern-day Babe Ruth. He has been phenomenal for the team, for the Angels this year, and he's just an overall talented guy. I mean, there's nothing else I could say about him. He is just a one-of-a-kind athlete. Now, as far as the National League, which is more of a tight race, there are a lot of good candidates, but my pick has to go with Ronald Acuna Jr. from the Atlanta Braves. He is phenomenal as well. He's had a great season. He's hit close to 40 home runs, or I think he's at around 40 home runs at this point, but he's getting close. He's obviously a base-stealing machine. You know, he's in the 30-30 club, and his defense is elite. There's nothing that this kid from Venezuela cannot do, and that's what I'm picking him for NL MVP.
Dylan, are you on the same page?
Obviously, with the AL, got to agree with Ohtani. I had the chance this past summer in July to go to Anaheim, California, go to Angel Stadium, see Shohei Ohtani play. Man is a monster. So Shohei Ohtani, definitely, although he's out with Tommy John surgery, I feel he can sit back, relax, and know, hey, he brought the AL MVP home to the Angels. Now, with the NL, this is a little bit of a disagreement probably from me. Although Ronald Acuna Jr. is doing well with his home run mashing skills, his base stealing power, and he's having his 30-30 season, possibly 40-40, this is going to be a shock, but I think Matt Olson. Matt Olson is doing well with his defense at first base for the Atlanta Braves, and the man is close, or I believe he has about 52 home runs, close to 120 RBIs. I know you have to do it on the small stats and the things that matter the most, but overall power, I think Matt Olson, the first base mashing, top-notch MVP. I believe it's going to be Matt Olson for NL MVP and still stick with Shohei Ohtani for AL MVP.
Got it. Now, MVP is nice, but we all know that the World Series is what the players play for. So, who is your pick to play in the World Series and then to win the World Series? Dylan, go ahead, give it to us.
So for the NL, I'm going to have to say the Dodgers, and this will probably be a shock to the AL, the Orioles. However, I know that sounds like a little bit of a unique matchup, but I definitely think that Vince Scully's up in blue heaven. I think either the Dodgers are going to bring home a World Series championship. Although I know I'm not saying Atlanta, and I know LA won in a shortened season in 2020. It is time for Dodger baseball, and I believe the Dodgers are going to bring it home in 2023 for the World Series.
There you go. Lonnie, what do you think?
Well, I concur with Dylan about the AL being the Orioles. I know it may sound shocking, but the Orioles have just been an amazing team. You know, such a great lineup of young talent. So I believe the Orioles will take it all the way to the World Series. Now, as far as the NL is concerned, I do believe the Braves will be the candidate for World Series. I mean, their lineup of players is just stacked. I mean, we have Ronald Acuna Jr., Matt Olson, 2 home run machines. Then you also have a lot of people ranging from Austin Riley, Marcell Ozuna, Ozzie Albies, all great hitting machines, and, you know, such a lot of good young talent from both teams. And it will be an interesting matchup. And I believe that if it does come down to these two teams playing in the World Series, it will truly be a legendary matchup. And it could go either way for me.
All right, well, we'll see if that comes true. But the final question I have for you guys as we wrap up here is, maybe you've already said this, but maybe you have something else to add. Do you have any bold predictions of things that you think are going to happen over the rest of the regular season or into the postseason? Maybe something particularly shocking. Lonnie, we'll start with you.
Well, I don't have much to say, but I feel like the Phillies might. I know Dylan predicted that the Dodgers might make it to the World Series, but I feel like if they were to face off and the Phillies become a wild card contender, I think they'll knock out the Dodgers, because the Phillies have been really good against the Dodgers, and they've won a lot of games against them. And obviously the Dodgers, while a good team, they've had a history of somewhat choking during the postseason. So I believe there will be a team out there that will knock the Dodgers out of a World Series contention. And I feel like a team that would do that would probably be the Philadelphia Phillies.
Yeah. Big disagreement on the Dodgers there. Dylan, what do you got? Any bold predictions?
For a shocking prediction, bold prediction, I do believe still in the last 2 to 3 weeks that the Seattle Mariners and the Texas Rangers, since they're close in the wild card, could sneak their way in. However, bold prediction, I really believe from the bottom of my heart that Baltimore is going to make it far. Baltimore is going to be the underdog team. I believe people like Adley Rutschman, Cedric Mullins, Ryan Mountcastle, Austin Hayes, those guys, they're young, they're hungry, they're ready for some action, they're ready to be back in the postseason for the first time since 2016. Baltimore is going to make a long run. That's my shocking and bold prediction.
Well, we're about to see if those predictions come true. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me today. Big thanks to Dylan and to Odlani. Appreciate you joining the show today. Thanks for joining me today, and we're going to see what happens on October 3rd when the postseason kicks off, and we'll revisit this and your predictions later in the semester. Yep, this has been the Nittany Watch Sports Report. That will do it for the inaugural Nittany Watch Sports Show. Thanks to Professor Robert Nulf and the entire Nittany Watch student media team for making this a reality, especially reporters Mitchell Carson, Matthew Wincoop, Zhu Sun, and Dylan Hassinger for their contributions on today's show. Thanks to guests Tom Klemick and Odlani Lasanta, and stay tuned for the next sports show coming in October. Follow PSH Nittany Watch on YouTube for future episodes of our regular Nittany Watch show, where we discuss all sorts of campus news. Visit www.pshblueandwhitejournal.com for more sports articles and keep up with statistics and schedules at athletics.hbg.psu.edu. We'll see you next time on Nittany Watch.